This flow was built as part of the Talent Stacker Salesforce Career Development Program group project. Be sure to take a look at the rest of our demo videos and connect with me and my teammates on LinkedIn. The purpose of this flow is to perform several automated tasks on the mock interview child record and the account parent record. This flow begins when the mock interview is scheduled and the record is updated. At this point, the 3 scheduled paths are initiated. There are no settings to configure for the Run Immediately path. This path gets triggered as soon as the start condition is met. The 24-hour alert runs 24 hours before the scheduled date and time on the mock interview record, and the follow-up path will run 2 days after the scheduled date and time of the mock interview. Now let's take a look at each path in more detail. The first element on the Run Immediately path updates the status of the child record. When the date and time are selected on the child record and the record is saved, the status is automatically changed to scheduled. The next element is a record update for the parent record. In order to update the correct record, this flow matches the account ID on the parent record to the account ID of the child record. It then updates the status field to scheduled on the account record. 24 hours before the mock interview is scheduled, an email is sent to the member. The Send Email core action handles this email, which supports rich text formatting as well as merge fields. 2 days after the mock interview, this flow is asked to make a decision. The URL needed decision checks to see if the URL field is null. No additional requirements are needed in the default outcome. We'll look at what happens if the URL does not exist first. If no URL is found in the record, then an email is sent to the record owner reminding them to update this record. The flow comes to a stop after that email is sent. If the URL does exist, then an email is sent to the member. This email includes the URL for the member to watch their mock interview and may also include notes for the manager. The child record is then updated to show completed. The account record is also updated to show completed. There are some additional smaller flows that I want to show as well. The first one is actually a better way to handle the final scheduled path of the first flow. Rather than using the decision element, which can't reevaluate the record after the decision has run, I created a separate flow that runs when the mock interview record is updated with the final information required on it. This flow is identical to the URL exists decision branch, but instead of running after a decision, it is a record trigger flow that runs as soon as the manager adds the URL and notes to the mock interview record. It then updates both records to completed. This is more efficient and easier to troubleshoot. The final flow that we're going to look at is the flow that clears the date and time when the record is updated to complete. This flow uses the fast field update option for updating fields, since the only record that is being updated is the current mock interview record. There's only one action that runs in this flow in order to update the date and time field. When the status changes to complete, this flow will change the date and time on the record to a null value. This is done through the use of a variable that stores a date-time value formula. The life cycle of a mock interview record is handled almost entirely by flow. The only times a manager has to interact with the record is when the schedule has to be updated and when they are ready to enter the URL and notes. All emails are sent automatically, saving the manager time.